Amusement parks are places built to deliver joyful thrills and perfectly unforgettable moments, but the memories people take home aren't always what they originally expected. Between unexpected mechanical failures, awkward situations, over-the-top reactions, and even surprising personal revelations, some visitors ended up starring in scenes they'd probably rather forget for the rest of their lives. And that's exactly what you're about to see here today. So go ahead and drop a like, click that subscribe button down below, and let's jump right in. Father took his son to the amusement park for a day of fun, and a recording he made on one of the rides ended up going viral in a comical way across the internet after being shared. In the scene, everything starts with the two of them in line, waiting eagerly. There, happiness, laughter, and playful banter dominated between them. However, as soon as they got on the ride, the scene changed rapidly. The attraction, which was a kind of oval Ferris wheel with some enclosed shelters where people stood, was extremely fast, shook a lot, and everything got way worse whenever the shelter reached the peak, at a tremendous height that gives you the feeling everything would plunge down at any second. The happiness and laughter gave way to crying, screams, and even fainting from the boy, who got absolutely terrified, while the father, also completely overwhelmed by fear, still managed to keep laughing and filming the whole nail-biting, nauseating, out-of-control experience.
Hold on! Hold on tight! Open your eyes! Look out! Look out! It's okay, we're almost done!
After rewatching the clip, the father clearly found the whole thing hilarious and decided to share it, never imagining it would spread across every corner of the internet so quickly, getting viewers laughing out loud at the poor kid's priceless reactions. A man decided to position himself to film a ride going down at an amusement park, but he seems to have completely forgotten that it sprayed water several meters away, and that did not turn out well. In the clip, he stands at a spot close to where the cart zoomed down at high speed. However, at the bottom, there was water precisely for the cart, so people inside could hit the target and splash water everywhere, including at the man who ended up right in the path the ride took and got hit with an insane amount of water coming straight at him and the camera, forcing him to grab the equipment and try to shield it not only from the water, but also from the sheer force of that much liquid, which could easily knock it over and damage it. That's exactly why at the recording's end, the image shifts and finally shows the ground. After all, he most likely grabbed the equipment and lowered it to protect it. From all indications, he didn't seem to know that the ride would spray that enormous amount of water, or that the water would reach where he was standing. But yes, it reached him, and he must have gotten soaked. A mother decided to film her kid's first roller coaster ride, and their reactions, especially the boy next to her, caught everyone's eye. The scene shows the mom already seated in the ride with her children, the boy beside her, and his sister behind, also next to her. The cart is climbing the tracks to start the descent, and you can already see the boy's expression, clearly regretting it as he realizes how high they are and that in seconds they'll be plummeting down at full speed, which is exactly what happens. The drop begins. The boy tightly grabs his mother's hand, and right then his wild expressions and comical reactions make everyone who watches burst into laughter. His eyes go wide, he clenches his teeth, and he looks completely shocked. The mom, who seemed more used to this, manages to film it all while genuinely having fun. The boy steals the show so much that his sister behind him even gets blurred out of view. Yet she also gets pretty scared, making it clear that first time was indeed memorable, but not sure they'd go again. A bizarre and even uncomfortable scene was captured by a visitor at a Disney park who simply caught the moment when the person dressed as Minnie to interact with children went to a corner of the location, partially removed the mask, and surprised everyone. We all know that Disney parks usually enchant with their magic wrapped up in rides and characters, but in this particular case, the scene ended up breaking all of that magic. After all, Minnie in this situation turned out to be a bearded man who was still smoking a cigarette while partially in costume, which makes the scene quite awkward. Upon noticing this, the visitor decided to record everything, and of course, the topic became one of the most talked about ones. Yes, Minnie was actually a man in a costume who didn't even bother moving away from the visitor foot traffic to take off the mask. And on top of that, he was smoking. According to some reports, due to the footage going viral, the park became aware of it, apologized, and the man was removed from his role for that behavior, since he definitely shouldn't have been doing that around the guests. A guy decided to film his girlfriend while they tackled an insane roller coaster at an amusement park, and the footage captured some amazing reactions from her. The video starts with the two of them already seated and strapped in, with no way to turn back. The ride begins its course as expected, moving forward at a snail's pace until it finally picks up speed and starts climbing, dropping, and spinning, all at high velocity, while the boyfriend has a great time and still manages to film his girlfriend, who's absolutely terrified by the ride's movements. She makes countless expressions, and in every single one you can clearly see her distress and fear about being there in that moment. Meanwhile, the boyfriend, clearly more used to the situation, laughs at her and still enjoys the wild ride. At a certain point in the ride, after some drops and curves, she almost draws out a hint of tears, making the moment even funnier until the ride finally ends. It comes to a stop, and she breathes a sigh of pure relief. An amusingly strange attraction at a German amusement park was captured on video by a man who brought his young son along to check it out. Upon arriving at the booth, the boy seemed confused since nothing was immediately visible. Then, a wooden door swung open, revealing an animatronic figure of an old man sitting inside. Curious and somewhat bewildered, the boy watched as the puppet said that if it wanted visitors, it would have invited them. And besides that rude comment, it launched a watery spit aimed straight at the kid, making his dad burst into laughter. The little boy, not so much. The attraction portrays a grumpy old man disgustingly fed up with life. Seeing that, the boy seems shocked, not really understanding what happened, and the scene ended up sparking some controversy. A content creator decided to head out to an amusement park to hop onto some extreme rides and catch people's reactions with his random screams at moments that were, let's say, completely inverted. His plan was to get onto the wild rides alongside normal visitors, and while the ride was at its most intense and insane peak, he would stay totally silent. But when it slowed down to that moment when people usually take a breath of relief, he would scream on purpose to contradict everyone's emotions, mess with their heads, and see how the people around him would react. And yes, the scene ends up being both hilarious and bizarre, because as folks notice the man screaming at a completely senseless moment, they end up giving him weird looks and even burst into laughter over the whole situation. His idea ended up gaining a lot of traction. At a certain point during this so-called prank, he just couldn't hold it in anymore and burst into uncontrollable laughter alongside a girl sitting next to him. He started cracking up at the way he was yelling at the nearly stationary toy. Later, he explained the video and the joke to her. Two friends decided to take on the famous slingshot attraction in Orlando, Florida, and they definitely did not expect to experience so many emotions in just a few seconds. In the footage captured by the camera attached to the ride itself, which films the visitors, we can see them already seated, just waiting for the launch. Then the person in control releases it and they are literally hurled high into the air at an absolutely incredible speed that seems to go on forever. Because of the speed, the fear, and everything involved, they both pass out instantly, and up there, one of them manages to regain consciousness, already letting out a scream. When she looks to the side, she notices her friend is still unconscious, taps her face, and her friend comes to taking a few seconds to realize where she is, and once she does, she screams desperately. After screaming and crying, she passes out again, even though the ride is already coming back down, which leaves her friend worried, but everything turned out fine in the end. People often faint on the slingshot ride because of an intense mix of extreme G-forces, fear, and adrenaline. On the way up, the slingshot launches passengers to speeds that can quickly surpass 100 kilometers an hour in just seconds, generating up to 5 Gs of force. This rapid acceleration drains blood from the brain, causing a sudden blackout like the body's defense mechanism, which usually lasts a few seconds. At Disney's park during a Star Wars show, a tiny little girl drew everyone's attention during the character interaction segment of the show, and let's just say she turned to the dark side. During the interaction, the little girl approached the villain Darth Vader for what was meant to be a battle against him. Carrying her lightsaber, she made her way closer to the villain, and just as they were about to begin the fight, she completely surprised everyone by kneeling down, raising her saber, and lowering her head, a very clear sign that she was surrendering to the villain and turning to his side. Yes, she joined the dark side of the Force, and of course, that surprised everyone.
Yes, now, let's go there. What's happening? Oh, it's funny, isn't it? Oh, it's funny. Oh, really? I don't see the Sith Academy anywhere over here.
Even the presenter himself is left flustered, not knowing what to do in this situation, and decides to play along. The person dressed as Darth Vader also isn't really sure how to react, and everything goes off script. After all, you can't imagine a kid wanting to join the dark side or team up with a villain from some franchise. Usually the connection is with the heroes or the good guys, but this one caught everyone completely off guard. A young man was at one of those traveling amusement parks that set up in different cities for a season. He decided to take part in, or rather, troll the soccer kick challenge in a move that became controversial. The game required you to score a goal against a robot goalkeeper that moved fast from side to side, blocking shots at the net. If you managed to score, you'd win a cash prize, but obviously hitting the target was incredibly difficult. After all, the robot was extremely fast and covered nearly the entire goal. Knowing this, the guy went there just to mess with the attraction's owner. As he stepped up to kick, he simply launched the ball high up into the air toward the middle of the park and ran off, leaving the booth owner absolutely furious. He clearly kicks the ball way up high on purpose to send it flying far away and mess with the stall owner, who notices this and chases after the young guy whose attitude stirred up controversy online. Back in 2015, some tense moments took over a fair in Livingston, California when a Ferris wheel experienced a mechanical failure and stopped working while passengers were on board. The ride remained stuck several meters up in the air, leaving 7 people trapped in their cabins with no way to get down on their own. As the minutes went by, family members and visitors watched nervously from below while the operators tried to fix the problem without any success. Faced with the impossibility of getting the attraction working again, emergency services were called in to carry out a rescue. Not long after, fire department teams arrived on the scene and began an operation to remove the occupants safely. Using a truck equipped with an elevated platform and a crane, the firefighters went up to the height of the cabins and rescued the victims one by one. The operation required a lot of caution, since any sudden movement could increase the risk for those trapped on the ride. While the rescue workers were at it, a crowd down below followed the scene, hoping everything would end well. Fortunately, after the emergency teams completed their work, all passengers were taken out without injuries. Despite the fright and the moments of anxiety experienced up high, no one needed to be hospitalized. Once again, at the Disney park in Orlando, Florida, a little girl became the center of a very curious and funny scene involving characters from Beauty and the Beast. At the location, a man was dressed up as the villain from the animation, known as Gaston, and he interacted with visitors in a playful and amusing way. But when it came time to interact with the little girl, she did not give in to the villain like in the case of Darth Vader mentioned earlier. On the contrary, she became quite nervous with the villain, argued with him, and very clearly made sure to show him that her favorite character was the Beast and not him. Her angry reaction toward the character as if he were real and had stepped right out of the animation made the entire situation really hilarious, and everyone around burst out laughing. Even the actor himself, in character as the villain, had to hold it together so he wouldn't break character. A simple ride on an extreme roller coaster turned into a stage for revelations among friends who, desperate from the insane drop of the attraction, started revealing things to each other as if saying their final goodbyes. The cart approached the highest point of the track to begin the rapid descent at an almost 90-degree angle, completely steep. That was when a girl began screaming to her friends that she loved them in a tone of farewell, as if they were all about to leave this world behind. But what truly caught everyone's attention was another phrase, said in a tone of confession spoken by a boy to his friend, in which he revealed his true gender, if you know what I mean.
I'm gay, I'm sorry I lied to you, Daniel. I'm actually gay.
Deep in the background, you can clearly hear him calling out to his friend Daniel and revealing that, in truth, he wasn't really attracted to the opposite gender, but rather to the same one. In other words, he would be gay, and ended up making that full revelation right there in that moment, as if it were a goodbye, and he needed to confess that to his friend. In the end, everything turned out fine. They took on that extreme ride, came out safe and sound, but those revelations lingered in the air. Don't forget to subscribe to watch more videos like this one.